chains on her hands. Silence in the hall. Elena Carter stood there, waiting to be traded like property, all because she couldn't bear a child. Then King Lucien Blackwood spoke. "I'll take her." Before the story continues, take a second to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy stories like this. More werewolf drama and powerful alpha stories are coming soon. Chapter 1. Broken Value. Elena Carter learned early how to survive, not by fighting, not by standing out, by staying steady. In the Silver Ridge Pack, that used to matter. Her father was Beta, a respected man, calm, controlled. He taught her one rule above all: control yourself, and no one controls you. Elena lived by that. She woke before sunrise, trained harder than most, spoke less than others. People trusted her, not because she was strong, because she was reliable. And for a long time, that gave her a place. Then the bond came. Daniel Hayes, future alpha, strong bloodline, a man everyone expected to lead one day. When he chose her, everything changed. For the first time, Elena felt seen. Daniel stood beside her in public, introduced her as his mate, spoke about the future like it was already set. "You don't need to be perfect," he told her once. "You just need to stand with me." Elena believed him. She gave him everything she had: her loyalty, her trust, her future. The first year passed quietly. No pressure, no questions. The second year changed things. It started small. Women asking careful questions, elders watching a little longer than before, Daniel mentioning children more often. By the third year, the silence had turned into expectation, and expectation turned into doubt. Elena felt it in every space she walked into. Conversations stopped when she arrived. Eyes followed her longer than they should. Judgment grew without words. At home, things shifted faster. Daniel became distant. He stopped talking about the future, stopped touching her without reason, stopped looking at her the same way. One night, Elena stood outside their door. She heard his voice inside. "I can't keep waiting," Daniel said. Another voice answered, lower. "She's your mate." "And she's not giving me an heir," Daniel replied. Elena didn't move. Her body went still. Every word sank in, not because it was loud, because it was final. She stepped away before they could see her. That night, she lay beside him in silence. Neither of them spoke, but everything between them had changed. The next morning, she trained harder, pushed herself further, as if effort could fix something already broken. Days later, the healer called her in. No warmth, no concern, just routine. Elena sat across from her. "I need answers," she said. The healer didn't look up for long. "You've been trying for years," she replied. "Yes." "No signs of pregnancy." Elena's hands tightened slightly. "So what does that mean?" The healer met her eyes briefly. "It means you are infertile." The word landed without emotion, like a simple fact, like it meant nothing. Elena felt the room close in around her. "Check again," she said. The healer shook her head. "There's no need. No need. No second look. No deeper search. Just a label." And that label spread fast. Faster than truth. Within days, everything changed. Elena noticed it in small ways first. Tasks reassigned. Conversations avoided. People stepping back without explanation. Then came the open shift. She was no longer included in decisions, no longer trusted with responsibility, no longer seen. Daniel didn't defend her, didn't question it, didn't even pretend. One evening, Elena stood in front of him. "Say it," she told him. Daniel didn't hesitate. "I need a mate who can give me a future." The words were calm, controlled, empty. Elena held his gaze. "And I can't?" she asked. Daniel didn't answer immediately. Then, "No." One word. Enough to end everything. Elena nodded once. No tears. Not in front of him. She turned and walked out. That was the moment she understood. She hadn't lost her place overnight. It had been taken from her slowly, piece by piece, until nothing was left. Days later, the council gathering was announced. Elena didn't ask why. She already knew. And this wasn't about fixing anything. This was about removing her. And in a pack like Silver Ridge, once your value was gone, so were you. Chapter 2. Traded like property. The hall was already full before Elena arrived. That alone told her everything. No private meeting, no quiet decision. They wanted witnesses. They wanted this to be seen. 2 guards walked beside her, not rough, not gentle. Just firm enough to remind her she had no say in what came next. The moment she stepped inside, the noise died. Not slowly, instantly. Dozens of eyes locked onto her. Some curious, some cold, some satisfied. Elena felt every single one of them. She kept her head level. If this was her lowest moment, she refused to let them see her break. The chains came next, cold iron around her wrists. A deliberate act, not needed for control, needed for display. Can a message? You are no longer one of us. The elder stood at the center of the hall, tall, unmoved, as if this was nothing more than routine. Elena Carter, he called out. His voice echoed across the room. Elena stepped forward. Each step felt heavier than the last. Not from fear, from realization. This was real. This was happening. You stand before this council without purpose, the elder continued. The words were sharp, clean, final. You have failed to fulfill your role within this pack. A pause. Not for her. For them. To let it settle. To let the judgment sink into every corner of the room. Elena said nothing. What was there to say? Her fate had already been decided long before she walked into this hall. You have been evaluated, the elder went on, and found lacking in the one duty that secures the future of our kind. Children. Always that word, even when unspoken. A quiet murmur passed through the crowd. Agreement. Approval. Elena's fingers tightened slightly against the chains. Not in panic. In control. She would not react for them. Because of this, the elder said, you will be used to settle an outstanding alliance debt between our pack and another. Used. The word struck deeper than any insult. Not released, not reassigned. Used. A transaction, a solution, a body exchanged for balance. Elena slowly turned her head. Her eyes searched the crowd. Not for support, for confirmation. And she found it. No one stepped forward. No one spoke. Not even the ones who once trained beside her. Not even the ones who once called her friend. Then her gaze landed on Daniel. He stood near the front, exactly where he belonged, close to power, close to decision. His posture was rigid, controlled, his face unreadable. Elena waited. Just one look. Just one sign that something still remained between them. But Daniel didn't look at her. Not once. That silence between them said everything. He had already let her go. Elena inhaled slowly, held it, then released. The last piece of her past fell away in that moment. You offer her as she is? A deep voice asked from the entrance. Every head turned. The doors at the far end of the hall began to open, slow, heavy. The sound dragged across the floor like a warning. Then he stepped in. King Lucien Blackwood. The shift in the room was immediate. Not fear alone. Recognition of power. Real power. The kind that didn't need to announce itself. Lucien walked forward without hurry. Tall, broad, controlled. Dark armor caught the low light. A heavy wolf fur cloak rested across his shoulders. His presence pressed against the air itself. Elena felt it before she fully looked at him. When she did, something inside her stilled. Not fear. Awareness. This man was different. Dangerous in a way she had never seen before. Lucien's gaze moved across the room. Measured. Calculating. He saw the elders, the crowd, the guards. Then he saw her. And stopped. Not long, but long enough. Elena Carter, the elder said quickly, stepping forward as if to regain control. She is infertile. She holds no future value within our pack. Lucien didn't respond immediately. His eyes remained on Elena, on the chains. On the way, she stood despite them. Most would have lowered their gaze. She didn't. That alone made him pause. He stepped closer, each movement slow, intentional, and the sound of his boots echoed in the silence. He circled her once, not like a buyer inspecting goods, like a predator studying something unfamiliar. Elena felt the weight of his attention, but she didn't move, didn't shrink. If this was judgment, she would face it fully. Lucien stopped in front of her, close enough to see the faint marks on her wrists, close enough to read the tension in her shoulders, close enough to see that beneath the calm, there was strength. Hidden, suppressed, but there. This is your solution? Lucien asked, his voice low. The elder nodded. She settles the debt and removes a burden from our pack. Burden. Lucien's expression did not change, but something in his eyes sharpened. He looked at Elena again. This time, longer. More focused. As if trying to understand something that didn't match what he had been told. Elena met his gaze, steady, unbroken. For a brief second something passed between them. Not connection, recognition. Lucien turned slightly, then spoke. I'll take her. The words dropped into the hall like a stone. Everything broke at once. Whispers, shock, confusion. It wasn't just the decision, it was who he chose. Daniel stepped forward quickly. You don't understand, he said. She can't produce heirs. She has no... Lucien raised his hand. The room fell silent instantly. I understand, Lucien said. Calm, controlled, unchallenged. I choose her. That word cut through everything else. Choose. Not accept, not tolerate. Choose. It wasn't about necessity. It was about decision. And that made it dangerous. Elena's breath caught slightly. She didn't understand it, didn't trust it, but she felt it. The shift, and for the first time since this began, she wasn't being discarded. She was being chosen. Lucien stepped closer to her. The distance between them closed. Elena Carter, he said quietly. His voice dropped enough that only she could hear. You are not what they say you are. Elena's heart tightened. No one had ever said that before. Not once. Lucien straightened. To settle your debt, he said to the elders, I take her. The agreement stands fulfilled. The elder nodded quickly. Too quickly. Relief clear in his expression. The deal was done. No negotiation, no argument. Just finality. Lucien reached out, not to grab, to remove. He unlocked the chain at her wrist himself. The metal fell away. The sound echoed softly. Freedom. Elena stared at her hands, then back at him. Confusion. Caution. Something deeper. Walk with me, Lucien said. Not an order, not a command, a decision already made. Elena hesitated. Only for a moment. Behind her stood everything she had lost. In front of her stood something unknown, dangerous, unclear, but not empty. She took one step forward, then another. And with that, she left her old life behind. The hall remained silent as she passed through it. No one stopped her. No one spoke. Daniel didn't move. Didn't call her name. Didn't try to fix anything. Because there was nothing left to fix. The doors opened again. Cold night air rushed in. Elena stepped outside, And for the first time in a long time, she felt something shift. Not hope, not yet, but the beginning of something she had almost forgotten. Possibility. Chapter 3. The choice that changed everything. The night air hit Elena's face the moment she stepped outside. Cold, sharp, real. And for a second she paused. Not because she wanted to go back, but because everything behind her had ended so fast. No goodbye, no closure, just silence. Keep moving, one of Lucien's men said quietly. Not harsh, not kind, just direct. Elena nodded once and continued forward. The courtyard stretched wide. Torches flickered along the stone walls. Warriors stood in formation, already prepared for her. That alone unsettled her. They knew. Before she did. Lucien walked ahead, not looking back. He didn't need to. Everyone followed him without question. Elena stayed a few steps behind, far enough to watch, close enough to feel his presence. There was something different about his pack. No whispering, no staring, no quiet judgment. They acknowledged her presence, then returned to their positions. Disciplined, controlled. It was nothing like Silver Ridge. Mount up, Lucien ordered. The command moved through the group instantly. Wolves shifted. Horses were brought forward. Movement flowed without chaos. Elena hesitated. She hadn't expected to leave immediately. But then again, nothing about tonight followed expectation. One of the warriors approached her. "Ride with us," he said. Elena climbed onto the horse without help, not out of pride, out of habit. She had learned long ago not to rely on anyone. The group moved out within minutes. No delay, no second thought. Silver Ridge faded behind them faster than Elena expected. She didn't look back. There was nothing there for her anymore. The first hours passed in silence. Only the sound of hooves and wind filled the space between them. Elena stayed alert, watching, listening, trying to understand the man who had changed her fate with a single sentence. Lucien rode at the front, straight posture, steady control. Even from a distance he felt solid, like nothing around him could shake him. That made him dangerous, and strangely, safe. Elena didn't like that thought. She pushed it away. Hours turned into a full night, then into morning. They didn't stop until the sun rose high. When they finally paused near a river, the group moved with quiet efficiency. Some gathered water. Others set a perimeter. No one waited for orders. They already knew what to do. Elena dismounted slowly. Her legs felt stiff, but she ignored it. Weakness was not something she allowed herself to show. She moved toward the river. Kneeling, she dipped her hands into the water. Cold, clear. For the first time since the hall, she allowed herself to breathe fully. "You're trying to understand why." Lucien's voice came from behind her. Calm, even. Elena didn't turn immediately. "Anyone would," she replied. She stood slowly and faced him. Up close, he was more intense. His eyes held focus that didn't waver. "Why did you choose me?" she asked. No hesitation this time. She needed the answer. Lucien studied her, not her face alone, her stance, her tone, her control. "I don't make decisions without reason," he said. Elena's expression tightened slightly. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one you need right now." A pause. Then she stepped closer. "Right now?" she repeated. Lucien didn't move. "There are things you don't see yet." Elena's jaw tightened. "That sounds like control." Lucien's gaze sharpened. "That sounds like patience." The tension held between them, and neither backed down. For a moment it felt like a test. Then Elena looked away first. Not in defeat. In choice. Arguing wouldn't give her answers. Observing would. Lucien seemed to accept that. He turned slightly. "Rest," he said. We move again soon. And just like that, the conversation ended. No explanation, no reassurance, only direction. Elena watched him walk away. Frustration built quietly inside her, but beneath it, curiosity. The journey continued for days, each one revealing something new. Lucien spoke little, but he watched everything. Nothing escaped his attention. His pack followed without hesitation. Not out of fear, out of respect. Elena noticed it in the way they moved, the way they listened, the way they trusted his decisions without question. That kind of loyalty wasn't forced. It was earned. And that made her question even more. Who was this man? And why had he chosen her? On the third night, they camped again, this time deeper into unfamiliar territory. Elena stood alone near the edge of the camp. The firelight flickered behind her. The forest stretched dark ahead. She preferred the edge. Fewer eyes, more control. You stay apart on purpose. Lucien's voice again. Closer this time. Elena didn't turn. It's easier that way. For who? For everyone. Lucien stepped beside her. Not too close. Not distant. Balanced. That's not how my pack works, he said. Elena let out a quiet breath. I noticed. A brief silence followed. Then she spoke again. You treat me differently. Lucien glanced at her. Do I? You don't see me as useless. It wasn't a question. Lucien's answer came without delay. Because you're not. Simple. Direct. No hesitation. Elena's chest tightened slightly. No one had ever said it like that. No doubt. No condition. Just truth. You don't even know me, she said. Lucien looked ahead into the dark. I know enough. Elena turned slightly. What does that mean? Lucien finally looked at her again. It means, what they told you doesn't match what I see. That hit deeper than she expected, because a part of her had started to believe them. The silence that followed felt different, not tense, not empty, just still. For the first time since everything began, Elena didn't feel like she had to defend herself. And that alone unsettled her. Because it felt unfamiliar, and unfamiliar meant dangerous. Days later, they reached Blackwood territory. Massive gates stood ahead, strong, reinforced, guarded. Nothing like Silver Ridge. This was power built over time, structured, maintained, respected. The gates opened without question as Lucien approached. No delay, no challenge. Inside, the pack moved with the same discipline Elena had seen during the journey. Focused, quiet, controlled. People noticed her. Of course they did. But their reactions were different. No whispers, no mocking, no pity. Just acknowledgement. Then they returned to their tasks. Elena slowed slightly, trying to understand it. You expected judgment, Lucien said beside her. Elena didn't deny it. It's what I'm used to. Lucien's voice remained calm. You won't find that here. Elena studied the people around her again. The difference was clear, and it unsettled her more than cruelty ever had, because this felt like something she didn't know how to respond to. Lucien stopped in front of a large structure, stone walls, guarded entrance. His presence alone cleared the path. He turned to her. You're safe here, he said. Safe. The word felt foreign. Elena held his gaze. I don't trust that yet. Lucien nodded once. I know. No offense. No reaction. Just understanding. And somehow, that made it harder to doubt him, because he wasn't trying to convince her. He was letting her see it for herself. Elena stepped forward slowly, into a place she didn't understand, with a man she couldn't read. But for the first time in a long time, she wasn't being pushed away. She was being given space, and she didn't know what to do with that. But she knew one thing. Her story hadn't ended in that hall. It had only just begun. Chapter 4. The truth they hid. Elena didn't sleep much that first night. The room was quiet. Too quiet. No whispers outside her door. No distant judgment. No tension pressing through the walls. Just silence. And for someone used to constant pressure, silence felt unfamiliar. She sat by the window, watching the early light stretch across Blackwood territory. Everything here moved with purpose. Order, discipline, control. Nothing wasted, nothing careless. It reflected him. Lucien Blackwood, a man who chose carefully. Which brought her back to the same question. Why her? A soft knock broke her thoughts. Enter, she said. The door opened slowly. An older woman stepped in. Sharp eyes, steady posture. No hesitation in her movements. Elena Carter, she said. I'm Mara. Elena stood. I was told to come, Mara added. Of course. Lucien. Elena gestured slightly. Then let's not waste time. Mara studied her for a moment. Not rudely. Carefully. As if measuring more than just appearance. You don't like being observed, Mara said. Elena didn't deny it. I'm used to being judged. Mara stepped closer. I don't judge. I confirm. That response was different. Direct. Clean. Elena respected that. Then confirm, she said. Mara began her examination, not rushed, not careless. Her hands moved with precision. Her focus never broke. Minutes passed, then more. The silence grew heavier with each second. Elena felt it. Something wasn't normal. She could see it in Mara's expression. Subtle changes, tightened focus, deeper attention. Then Mara stepped back. Her eyes met Lucien's. He had entered quietly during the examination. Elena hadn't even noticed. That alone said enough about him. What did you find? Lucien asked. Mara didn't answer immediately. She turned to Elena instead. What you were told is wrong, she said. The words landed hard. Elena felt her chest tighten. Wrong how? Mara didn't soften it. You are not infertile. Silence. Heavy. Unmoving. Elena stared at her. Her mind tried to process it. Failed. That's not possible, she said quietly. It is, Mara replied. And it's clear. Lucien stepped forward slightly. Explain. Mara folded her hands. There's a seal placed within her. Elena's breath caught. A seal? Mara nodded. Deep. Precise. Not natural. Elena shook her head slowly. No. No one would. Lucien's voice cut through. They already did. Elena turned to him. Her eyes searched his face, looking for doubt. She found none. Only certainty. What does it do? Lucien asked. Mara answered clearly. It blocks her reproductive system, suppresses her internal energy flow, limits her full potential. Elena felt her balance shift, every memory replayed, the healer's quick judgment, the lack of questions, the immediate conclusion. They didn't even check, she whispered. Mara's gaze softened slightly. They didn't need to. They already knew. That truth hit harder than anything else. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't neglect. It was planned. Elena stepped back. Her hand pressed against the table beside her. They lied to me, she said. Lucien corrected her. They controlled you. That word settled deep. Control. Everything made sense now. The sudden shift in how she was treated, the speed of her dismissal, the decision to trade her without hesitation. It wasn't because she was useless. It was because she was something else. Something they didn't want. Why? Elena asked. Her voice was steady, but underneath it, something burned. Mara answered. Your bloodline carries something rare. Elena looked at her. What? Mara hesitated for the first time. Lucien noticed. Say it, he ordered. Mara nodded. Your energy signature is different, stronger, unstable when suppressed. If it develops fully, it could shift power balances. Elena's mind went quiet. Shift power. She had spent years believing she had none. Now she was being told the opposite. They feared you, Lucien said. Elena looked at him. They didn't fear me. They pitied me. Lucien shook his head slightly. Pity is what they showed you. Fear is what they acted on. That difference changed everything. Elena's breathing slowed. Not from calm, from control. Because anger had started to rise. Slow, deep, real. They marked me, she said. Yes, Mara confirmed. Gefim, they watched me break, Elena continued. Lucien didn't interrupt. They called me useless, while knowing the truth. Her voice didn't rise. It sharpened. They let me believe it. Silence filled the room, because there was nothing to argue, nothing to soften. It was truth. And it was ugly. Elena straightened slowly. Her eyes no longer held confusion. They held clarity. Cold, focused clarity. What happens if the seal is removed? She asked. Mara met her gaze. Your full strength returns, Lucien added. And more. Elena didn't hesitate. Remove it. Mara didn't move. It will hurt, she said. I've already lived through worse, Elena replied. That answer carried weight. Lucien watched her carefully, measuring her resolve. He saw no hesitation, no fear strong enough to stop her. Only determination. Do it, he said. Mara nodded. Tonight. Elena exhaled slowly. This was it. The truth had been revealed. Now came the cost of reclaiming it. Lucien stepped closer, not touching, but close enough to be felt. You don't have to prove anything, he said. Elena looked at him. I'm not proving anything, she replied. A pause. Then she added, I'm taking back what was mine. Lucien held her gaze, then nodded once. Approval, not control. That mattered. The room settled into silence again, but this silence was different. It wasn't empty. It was waiting. Because everything was about to change. And Elena knew it. For the first time since her world fell apart, she wasn't reacting. She was choosing. And that alone made her dangerous. Chapter 5. The rise of the chosen knight came fast. No delay. No preparation beyond what was needed. Elena stood at the center of the chamber. Stone walls. Low light. Quiet air. Mara moved around her, placing small markings along the floor. Precise. Intentional. Lucien stood a few steps away, watching. Not interfering. Elena noticed that. He didn't try to control this moment. He allowed it. That gave her more strength than words ever could. Once we begin, it won't stop halfway, Mara said. Elena nodded. I understand. This will break more than the seal, Mara added. It will force your body to remember what was taken. Elena's jaw tightened slightly. Then let it remember. Mara held her gaze for a second longer, then began. The first wave hit without warning. Sharp pain. Deep. Elena's body tensed instantly, her breath caught. But she didn't move. Didn't step back. Didn't break. The markings on the ground began to glow faintly. Energy moved. Slow at first. Then faster. Elena felt it inside her. Something blocked. Something resisting. Like a door forced shut for too long. Focus, Mara said. Elena closed her eyes, not to escape, to hold control. The second wave hit harder. Pain spread through her chest, her arms, her spine. She dropped to one knee, her hand pressed against the ground. The stone beneath her felt like the only stable thing left. Lucien took one step forward, then stopped. He didn't touch her, didn't interfere, but his presence shifted closer, grounding, steady. Elena felt it, and it helped. Keep going, she whispered to herself. The pressure built, stronger, heavier. The seal was resisting, fighting to stay in place. Years of suppression don't break quietly, they break violently. The third wave hit. Elena gasped. Her body arched slightly. Pain surged through her like fire, and her mind flickered. For a second, she almost lost control. "Stay with it," Lucien said. His voice cut through everything else. Clear. Firm. Elena focused on it. On him. On something steady in the chaos. "I'm here," he added. 2 words. Simple, but enough. Elena held on. The energy inside her shifted again. Stronger now. Pushing back. The seal cracked. A sharp pressure burst through her chest. Elena cried out. Not from weakness. From release. The markings around her flared brighter. Mara's voice remained steady. "It's breaking." Elena felt it. Something that had held her down for years. Starting to give. Memories flashed. Moments of doubt. Of silence. Of being told she was nothing. Each one burned away. Replaced by something else. Truth. The final wave came without warning. Stronger than all the others combined. It hit her fully. No space to brace. No time to prepare. Elena screamed. The sound filled the chamber. Raw, real, uncontrolled. Then, silence. The energy snapped. The seal shattered. Everything stopped. Elena collapsed forward. Her hands hit the ground. Her breath came fast. Uneven. But alive. Different. Slowly, she pushed herself up. Her body trembled. Not from weakness. From change. Lucien watched closely. He saw it immediately. The shift. Her presence felt different, stronger, sharper, no longer suppressed. Elena stood fully. Her breathing steadied. Her senses expanded. She could feel everything. The air, the space, the energy around her. It was overwhelming, but clear. For the first time in her life, she wasn't limited. She looked at her hands, then slowly lifted her gaze. Lucien stood in front of her. Still. Focused. No surprise. Only confirmation. "You were never weak," he said. Elena held his gaze. Her voice came out quieter, but stronger. "What am I?" Lucien didn't hesitate. "Something they feared." The words settled deep. Not as a question, as truth. Elena turned slightly. The room felt smaller now. Or maybe she had outgrown it. Mara stepped closer, her expression calm. "You'll need time to control it," she said. Elena nodded once. "I will." No doubt, no hesitation, because for the first time, she believed in herself. Days passed. Training began immediately. Not forced. Chosen. Elena pushed herself. Learned her limits. Then broke them. Her strength grew fast. Faster than expected. Lucien trained with her. Not above her. With her. He corrected. Observed. Pushed. But never controlled. That difference mattered. Trust built slowly. Not through words. Through actions. One morning, Elena stood at the edge of the training ground, watching the sun rise. Lucien approached. "You're ready," he said. Elena didn't ask for clarification. She already knew. Silver Ridge, her past, her truth. It was time. They returned days later. The same gates, the same walls. But everything felt different. Because she was different. The pack gathered quickly. Word spread fast. Elena walked into the hall. No chains, no hesitation, no fear. The silence this time was not judgment. It was uncertainty. Daniel stepped forward, his confidence gone. "Elena," he said. Her name sounded different now. Weaker. She raised her hand. He stopped. "You made your choice," she said, her voice calm, controlled, final. Daniel swallowed. "I didn't know." "You didn't look," Elena replied. No anger, just truth. She stepped closer, every movement steady. "You saw what they told you to see." Daniel couldn't hold her gaze, not anymore. "You called me useless," she continued. A pause. Then, But you never understood what I was. The elders stood silent. No authority left in them, because power had shifted. Lucien stood behind her, not leading, not speaking, supporting. That changed everything. Elena turned to the crowd. Her presence filled the room, not forced, natural. "No one here will be traded again," she said. Her voice carried across every corner, clear, strong. "And no one will be defined by lies." No one argued, no one challenged, because they felt it. Her strength, her truth, her control. This was not the same woman they had cast aside. This was someone new, someone they couldn't ignore, someone they couldn't control. Elena looked around one last time, not with anger, not with regret, with closure. Then she turned, walked away. Lucien followed beside her. Not ahead, not behind, beside, equal. And that was the final shift. She was traded for infertility, but that was never her truth. She was hidden, suppressed, controlled, until someone saw her clearly and chose her anyway. You were never lacking. They were afraid of what you would become. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more powerful werewolf stories like this one, and tell me in the comments where you are watching from and what stories would you like to watch next.